What's going on, everybody? Will Murphy here with Iron Will Fitness. Today's video is going to be a little bit about how I'm going to try to make this go over the next 30 days. We're starting day 1 of another 30 days of Iron Will today. So everybody's going to have exercises to do. Even the overweight the beginner overweight obese people are going to have exercises to do. It ain't just going to be walking this month. So if you need to start at the very beginning, I suggest that you go back and you do the first 30 days of Iron Will challenge. At least do the exercises through it and walk for 30 days prior to doing this, so that your body is more ready to take on the added stress of adding in some exercises and things like that. If you are healthy enough to do regular exercises, then you're going to start with the beginner program. We're going to have some body weight squats and dumbbell squats, things like that in there. We're going to stick mainly to machines, but we're also going to hit some compound exercises and standing exercises with free weights. And then in the more intermediate workouts, we're going to have more sets, higher reps, less reps with higher weight, things like that. We're going to be doing, full barbell squats, barbell front squats, things like that. We're going to be doing dumbbell and barbell bench press, dumbbell and barbell deadlifts, different variations of each exercise on the way through that, and slowly progressively overloading over these 30 days. And that's for everybody. We're all trying to gain some strength and maybe even earn ourselves a little bit of muscle over the next 30 days. So I plan on doing my normal daily videos just like this, but I also plan on doing daily workout videos for each of the programs. It's going to be a lot of working out for me to make sure that all y'all have good knowledge of how to set up the machines and things like that for your exercises, how to hold form for your standing and body weight exercises and things like that. So we're going to go over technique a little bit in those videos. I'm going to post them in separate videos. So like on Instagram, you'll have your daily video like this, like we normally been having from me. And then later on, I'm also going to post the same. I'm going to post the picture as like the thumbnail for it or whatever, and then the workout in video form on Instagram TV for everybody to look at that. So and then from there, I'll take both videos and put them together and throw them on YouTube, so that if you're following along on YouTube, you'll have both videos right there every single day. That means I'm going to have to try to get your workouts done the day before, so I can get all the videos edited, so I can get all this up. So please bear with me. I hope to have them all, ready for you by, 3 or 4 in the morning, so that, you 5 a.m. people can have it to follow along with and things like that. As for me, I guess that means I'm a day ahead of y'all. Really, I'll probably be recording at like 2 a.m. and things like that. It's going to be some late nights and things like that for me, but I want to make sure that everybody gets out of this exactly what they want, and a good start to their fitness journey. We've already gone through 30 days, and if you want to, you can go back through that 30 days, or you can start with this 30 days. It's completely up to you. The idea is that you quit one of or all of sugar, alcohol, bread, and fast food for 30 straight days. Take those out of your diet and try to stick to whole foods. Cook your food at home. You're not allowed to go out and be eating out all the time. The main deal is that you're going to cook your food at home. That way you'll know what's in your food. You'll have a better idea. You can find foods that you like to combine and make meals and things like that for yourself. I definitely recommend like leaner proteins, like your white meats, fish, any kind of seafood really at all is going to be fine. Tilapia and shrimp are in your whitefish category. If you want salmon, you can have salmon. It's a little bit higher in omega-3s, and but you need those because your body can't produce them, but they're essential fats, so your body has to have them. So any kind of fish or seafood in your diet is great. If you can't handle those, or you're allergic to those things, then my suggestion would be to get a fish oil pill or an essential fatty acids pill to make sure that you got all that straight on track. Most of your fat should be coming from your protein sources, so like if you're having steak and things like that, go ahead and figure in for the higher fat content of steak and salmon. And if you're eating like extra nuts and things like that, remember you got to figure up the fat content in that. If you like avocados, Avocados are a healthy fat, lots of omega-6 in there. So, but still, you know, be careful on overeating any of these foods. To be honest with you, you can overeat protein and get fat. You can overeat carbs, and I guarantee you can get fat, because it's a lot of people that demonize carbs because they've been taking in lots of processed carbs, you know, and they're not complex carbs like, you know, you would find in your sweet potatoes or things like that. They are just simple carbs, and they're not good for your body at all, and that's why their bodies are reacting badly to them, because they're taking in way too many. You know, on a serving of Oreos, it says 2 Oreos per serving, and good luck finding the person that doesn't eat like 2 entire rows of Oreos as a serving. And that's 200 calories per 2, so if you're eating 2 rows, you're looking at, like, you know, 1,400 calories right there, real quick. So or well, you know, somewhere around 1,000 really, but real fast. And you know, that's why you have to watch your portion sizes, and you can't just overeat and like binge on a whole cake or cheesecake or something like that. You need to stick with your fibrous vegetables, and you know, fruits are definitely a good option. I definitely used fruit during the first 30 days to curb my sweet tooth and things like that. I recommend having, you know, 1 or 2 pieces of fruit per day, like with dessert at a meal or right before a meal, if you need it to maybe satiate your hunger a little bit, so that when you do eat, you don't eat as much. We're looking at portion sizes while we're doing this, so we definitely want to be careful about, you know, overeating or anything like that at any point in time during this entire 30 days. Still, you want to go for whole foods. You're looking for lean meats, you're looking for complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, and you know, you can have your fruits, and you're looking for your fibrous carbohydrates like vegetables and things like that. Try to stay away from just any kind of junk food at all if you can. You know, another thing you can say that you want to quit is chips, and you don't have to quit everything. Pick one. If you want to just pick one item and quit that and pull it out of your diet, that is perfectly fine, as long as you're doing something towards making more progress for yourself. Because if you just say take out sugar, and you know, say you're going to be active for 30 days straight, you're going to see a little bit of results after 30 days. I would assume that you're going to see, you know, maybe a 2 to 3 pound drop, hopefully 4. We're looking to hopefully get you up to where you're, you know, losing a pound a week. If you're overweight and obese, you're going to see that coming off just a little bit faster. If you're a true beginner, you're also going to be seeing that come off just a little bit faster. If you're already intermediate, any kind of fat loss that you're going to achieve is going to be just a little bit slower, and you can probably guess on just about exactly 1 pound per week if you're, you know, if you're getting proper nutrition, proper activity, and proper sleep. So make sure that you've got all those things under control, and that you definitely have those things scheduled out in your time, because you're not going to be able to do this if you don't schedule it. If you don't plan on coming to the gym, or you know, if you don't plan your workout daily, you're not going to make it happen. So you definitely want to make sure that it's in your schedule. I would start scheduling in your phone, like, you know, wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, get off, work out, then come home, make sure that you maybe even set alarms for every meal of the day. So if you're eating 4 times a day, set your alarms about 3 to 4 hours apart and eat 4 times a day. Or, you know, you can intermittent fast and just, you know, be in a window if you want to, where you're not eating while you sleep, and you don't eat when you wake up. You don't eat till about 12, and then from 12 to 8 you can eat, you know, all the food that's in your diet. Make sure that it's the food that's in your diet, and make sure that you're not eating outside of, you know, the chosen food options. Make sure that you stick to natural foods and things like that. Stay away from boxes and bags and things with large amounts of ingredients on the side. You know, shop the perimeter of the store if you need to. That usually works, because, you know, all your whole foods are out there on the perimeter of the store. We're going to get started with the workout here in just a second, so make sure that you check these out on YouTube. It's Iron Will Fitness on YouTube. My website is ironwillfitnesstraining.com. I'm on Facebook at Iron Will Fitness Training, and Instagram at Iron Will PT. Let's get started. Peace. So our first exercise in the beginner part of the beginner overweight obese workout is going to be the leg extension. I've chosen this because I don't feel like if you're overweight or obese, you're quite ready to squat just yet. I really want to be a lot easier on your joints, especially in your ankles and knees. So what I want to start you with is start working on leg strength beyond what you've already got, which I'm pretty sure is decent. If you've been doing the walking and stuff like that from the first Iron Wheel series, then you should be, have pretty decently strong legs. But still, we want to be careful. We want to work up slowly to get into the bodyweight squat and eventually the barbell squat without causing any extra strain on your joints. So what I recommend that you start with is the leg extension. Okay, now a couple things about setting up the leg extension. When you go to set up the leg extension, what I want you to do is I want you to set the seat back so that your knees line up with this pivot point right here. So for me, I'm not really tall, so I would set it here, and then you'll get in. Make sure that your knees are directly across from this pivot point right here. It's usually a white or a red dot. From there, you want to make sure that your ankle pad is set in the right spot. This ankle pad is set in the right spot, but there's a little knob on the outside here that you can pull on most machines. Some machines are set up a little bit differently, but usually there's a little knob right here that you can pull out and adjust the ankle pad if you need to. From there, you're going to lean back in the seat, and I want you to hold on to the handles that are provided on the side here, so you can hold yourself down in the seat as you lift the weight up. Hold for just a second at the top, and then return to the bottom. Up and hold, and return to the bottom. All the way down. You want to go through the full range of motion. All the way up, all the way down, and you're doing 8 to 12 reps. Now, with that being said, for your 8 to 12 reps, I want you to use enough weight that is challenging by the time you get to 8, and that you're probably going to have a hard time getting to 12, okay? Don't use light weights. You're stronger than that. I know it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. This is how we build muscle and make our bodies adapt and gain strength and things like that, so that we can do more stuff in the gym. So make sure that you come all the way up and hold for a second, and then all the way down. Up, pause, all the way down. Going through the whole entire range of motion, squeezing those muscles at the top. All right, and we're going to do 2 sets. Our next exercise is going to be the seated leg extension. I've chosen this because it's a little bit easier than the lying leg extension as far as your ability to get up. I'm not going to ask you to do much laying down during this workout program. I want you to be able to get up easily and not feel uncomfortable in the gym or anything like that. So one, again, you'll adjust the seat back so that your knee is directly across from this pivot point right here. Usually it's a white or a red dot right there where the pivot point is. And you'll want to adjust the seat back so that when you sit down, your knees are directly across from that pivot point, with your lower back touching the back pad of the seat. And then you'll want to make sure your foot pad's in the right spot. The best way to do that is to sit down in the machine and put your foot over the machine. If your foot hangs over the foot pad and it's not sitting on your ankle and it's not sitting really high up on your calf muscle, then it's where it needs to be. So this one's where it needs to be for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my foot up over the top here. I'm going to lower this down on top of my knees. Most of these have some kind of thing to hold your knees down. I know that some of the ones at other gyms have one that goes in front of your knees, but most of them have them that set on top of your knees. From there, you're going to set back in the seat. I like to put my hands on the pad so I can hold myself back in place on the bench, and then lower all the way down and come up. So you want to lower down, squeeze the muscle at the bottom, and then back up to the top. Lower down and squeeze, back up to the top. We want to use full range of motion because we don't want to be weak in any area of this lift. And we want to come all the way up to the top, all the way down and squeeze, okay? Again, on this exercise, we're going to be doing 2 sets of 10 reps all the way through. And make sure that you use a weight that challenges you by the time you get to like 7 or 8 reps, okay? For the next exercise on our list, I've chosen the seated row machine. This is going to work the lats and traps on your back. It's going to work most of your back. To begin with, you want to set a weight that is going to be challenging enough that you start to struggle about 7 or 8 reps and you have trouble getting to 10. You're going to sit down in the seat and put your feet on the feet pads, reach forward and get your handles, and you're going to bring it back. Now you're going to set yourself in an upright position with your shoulders forward, and then you're going to bring your shoulder blades back and bring your elbows back behind you as far as you can, okay? Let your arms come forward, let your shoulder blades go forward and stretch across your back. And then from there you're going to have a straight spine. You want to keep your back feeling like it's arched. You're going to bring your shoulder blades back, and then you're going to bring the weight back with your elbows. Lead with your elbows here. So again, all the way forward, stretch, let the shoulder blades open, retract the shoulder blades, and lead back all the way behind you as far as your elbows can go behind you. Good rule of thumb with back training is wherever your elbows lead, that's where you're hitting on your back, okay? So if your elbows are coming up and back, you're hitting across the top of your back. If your elbows are coming straight back, you're hitting across the middle part of your back. And if your elbows are coming this way, down here, you're hitting the wide part of your lats. You're working on the width of your lats there. Your lats are right under here where your elbows are pointing at. Anyways, with this machine, you want to make sure that you keep a straight back. Don't let your back fold or anything like that. I'm going to move this camera and I'm going to set it over here so that we can show you what I mean by keeping a straight back, because it is serious business holding the back straight like this right here, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm adjusting so that we can see it better. You want to almost feel like you have an arch in your back, but not quite an arch, okay? And usually there's a mirror off to the side. You'll be able to look and make sure that your back is straight. But what you're going to do here is you're going to sit down on the bench, you're going to reach forward and you're going to get your handles. Now, my back is straight, but my shoulders are forward, right? I'm going to bring my shoulder blades back, and I'm going to bring my elbows back as far as I can behind me. Coming forward, letting the shoulders come forward. Now, if you slightly lean forward, make sure that you keep a straight back, okay? You don't want your back to be arched. You don't want your back to be curved. This is bad, okay? This is not good for your lower back. So what you want is right here. You want a straight back. You want to set up straight. Bring your shoulder blades back and bring your elbows back behind you. Elbows come forward, shoulder blades roll forward, back stays straight. Shoulder blades back, elbows all the way back behind you and squeeze, and back to the front. All right, let's move on to the next exercise. For the final exercise in a beginner obese overweight program part of today, we're going to be doing a chest press machine. This will keep you sat upright so that you don't have to worry about laying down on a bench or anything like that, but it'll still give you the benefits of being able to hit a bench press. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that the seat's adjusted to the height where your feet can be flat on the ground. You don't want to have dancing feet. You want to be able to push your feet into the ground and use your legs. It works like a ripple going up your entire body. You push into the floor and your quads tighten up, and then your back tightens up, and then you push the weight, okay? Now, I want you to choose a weight that's difficult to get past 10 reps. If you need to use a set prior to that to make sure you get the right weight, especially on your first day when you don't know exactly. All right, for some reason right here, the audio on my microphone cut out, so the rest of this part is going to be voiceover. Basically what I was trying to tell you is that you need to check on your weight, so you need to practice with the weight and see where you're at as far as that weight goes. You're not going to know on your first time when you sit down exactly what weight you're going to use, so you're going to have to practice with a lighter weight and move your way up in subsequent sets to figure out what weight will get you to fatigue by about 10 reps. You definitely want to put your shoulder blades back when you sit down up against the chair. You want to push your chest forward. You want to make sure that your lower back is up against the seat. Then you're going to put your hands on the handles, and you want to make sure that your elbows are directly behind your wrists. You don't want to have your elbows down below your wrists or anything like that. You don't want to have your hands out too wide or too close together because you want to be able to stack your wrist and your elbow against each other for reinforcement in this movement. So making sure that your elbows are directly behind your wrists as you start to press out, and squeeze with your chest on the way out. Hold for just a second at the top, and then return back to the starting position, and repeat this for reps. Don't forget to pinch your shoulder blades back and have your chest pushed forward, and think about squeezing through your chest as you move. Don't let your shoulder blades round forward like just happened right there. Keep them back the entire time, and just press out as far as your arms can go before your shoulder blades come apart. Don't forget that after this exercise, you'll have 10 minutes of walking for your cardio after the workout, and then you'll be done with your workout for today. Best of luck, and I hope you had a good workout. On to the beginner regular workout. Alright, we are having the same problem right here. My mic was not working, so I'm going to go ahead and do this voiceover for this. For this, we're going to work on, you can either do the bodyweight squat or the goblet squat. Right now I'm demonstrating that you don't want to lean like really far forward. You want your body to be more upright at the bottom of the squat. You don't want your chest laying on your legs when you get down to the bottom of your squat. That usually causes your butt to come up first, and then you end up with a lot of pressure on your lower back as you rise to the top. What you want to do is you want to have your feet hip to shoulder width apart. You want to start to set back as if you're reaching for a chair that's, like 8 to 10 inches behind you. And you don't want your knees to collapse in. So right here I'm talking about not letting your knees collapse in, trying to actively push them out, and reach back for that chair behind you, and set your body in between your hips, and try to keep a more upright position by keeping your shoulders back. So as you set down into it, you want to reach back like you're trying to sit down on the toilet, and keep your knees behind your toes, and sit all the way down into the squat. From there, you'll bring yourself back up to the top. Now, by all the way down into the squat, I mean to have your butt below your knees. The tops of your legs should be parallel with the floor. And if you can't get that low, then that's something you need to work on as far as your mobility goes, and I suggest yoga. So you can work on controlling your movement and lowering yourself with control, and then pushing back out of the squat with control. Here in a second, I'm going to grab a dumbbell, and I'm going to go over how to do the goblet squat. You want to make sure that in any squat that you do, that your hips move back, your knees stay behind your toes, your upper body stays as upright as possible. The tops of your legs should be parallel with the floor. You're going to push your way out of the squat, engaging your quads and your glutes, and squeezing to get to the top. Making sure that your body stays as upright as possible throughout the entire range of motion. I know I'm still talking here. At this point, I had no idea that my mic was off. Here I'm showing you some mobility exercises you could do if you're having issues with your hips. When you go to descend into the squat, you can lift your knee up and rotate it out to the side, set your leg down, and then raise your knee back up and rotate back to the center and set your leg back down. From here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get a dumbbell, and we're going to show you how to perform a goblet squat. You want to have the dumbbell right up against your chest. You want to have your feet hip to shoulder width apart. You want to have your shoulders back as much as you can, and you want to set down into the squat, pushing your butt back as if you're reaching for a chair that's far away from you. You don't want to just fall into the squat like I'm demonstrating here. You want to reach back with your butt as if you're trying to reach a seat that's far behind you. And then you want to make sure that you get all the way down with your butt below your knees, and your top of your legs should be parallel to the floor, and then raise back up to the top of the movement, holding the weight up against your chest the entire time. Holding the weight in front of you should help you keep a more upright spine as you set back into the squat. From there, I believe we go into the Romanian deadlift. So enjoy me talking for the rest of this to nobody because you can't hear me, and we're going to move on to the Romanian deadlift directly after this. For the dumbbell Romanian deadlift, I'm going to start off showing you how similar a Romanian deadlift and a good morning are. A good morning can be done without any weight or with the weight on your shoulders, and you'll hinge at the hip and push your butt back and up like you're trying to touch the corner of the wall and the ceiling, making sure to use your hamstrings to lift you up to the top. It should feel like a rope bridge or something pulling you back up to the top, like a pulley system. From there I get the dumbbells and I show you how to do the Romanian deadlift. You start with your feet hip to shoulder width apart and the dumbbells hanging right beside your legs. Make sure they're hanging in your arms. Your hands are just hooks, your arms are just holding it, and they dangle from the shoulders. You're just holding it down from the shoulders. From there you're going to hinge at the hip, pushing your butt back and up like you're trying to touch the corner of the ceiling and the wall, keeping your back as straight as possible. You want to lean down until your back is parallel with the floor. If you have a greater range of motion, you can go a little bit lower, but usually about mid-shin with the dumbbells is far enough down. And from there, you'll squeeze your hamstrings and your glutes and return to the top of the movement. Make sure that you keep your back straight. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a straight back during this movement. The next exercise on the list is going to be the leg extension. For this, you'll set up the leg extension machine, making sure that you set it up so that your lower back is up against the back pad and that your knees are directly across from the pivot point. The pivot point is usually a white or red dot right by where the machine itself pivots. If that's the pivot point of the machine, that needs to be the pivot point of your leg. This keeps the most pressure off the knee as you're going through this motion. Once you've gotten all that figured out, then it's time to adjust the ankle pad. Sometimes it's in the right spot, sometimes it's not, so you may have to get up and readjust it so that it's sitting on top of your ankles and not on top of your shins and not on top of your feet. From there, you're going to sit down in the seat. You're going to have your tailbone up against the seat back, your shoulder blades up against the seat back, and your feet behind the ankle pad. From there, you're going to raise to the top and squeeze for just a second, making sure to flex the muscles as hard as you can, and then return to the bottom, making sure to go through full range of motion for this movement and use it to really squeeze the quads and make them do some work. You want to use a weight that's heavy enough that it gets heavy about 8 reps and that you question whether or not you can get 12 reps by the end of the set with. For our fourth exercise today, we're going to be doing the lying leg curl. You want to select the weight that you're going to be able to get to about 8 reps, and you're going to be pushing it to get to 12 reps. You want to set the ankle pad so that it sits on your ankles, closer to your ankles, and not on the back of your foot or on your calf muscles. You want to make sure that the top of your knees are against the edge of the seat. You want to lay down flat on your stomach. From there, you're going to use your legs to curl the weight up toward your butt and then lower with control back to the bottom. You want to go through the full range of motion here, making sure that you're not weak at any point in the movement. You want to make sure that you tighten your hamstrings and squeeze at the top for just a second so that you can get the full benefit of each repetition. We're trying to be efficient with our workouts, so we definitely want to squeeze the muscle at the top of each rep and fatigue it as much as we can throughout each set. You got 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps of this, and just make sure that you go through your full range of motion and squeeze your hamstrings as much as you can at the top and let them stretch all the way back down to the bottom. Muscle building works both ways, so make sure that you utilize both directions of this movement. And now we move on to the standing calf raise. You want to make sure that your machine is set up correctly for you to get in. You can do the standing calf raise on a set of stairs with some dumbbells in your hands, or you can choose to use a machine like this. Just make sure that you have the machine set up to
to the proper height and that you choose the correct weight. For this exercise, we're going to be focusing on a little bit higher volume, so we're going to be doing 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps instead of 3 sets of 8 to 12. You want to make sure that your heels drop all the way below the platform so you get the most stretch in the calves, and then from there you're going to squeeze your calves and you're going to let your heels come all the way up to the very top of the movement, raising your heels up as high as you can and squeezing your calves as tight as you can at the top of the movement. And then remember to lower back down with control and let your heels go beneath the platform once again to stretch the calves as much as possible. Do this for every single rep all the way through to really have the most effective exercise for your calves. The standing calf raise works more of the gastrocnemius. It does work both the gastrocnemius and the soleus, but it has more impact on the gastrocnemius, that large muscle in the back that is tightening up. You can see it right here when I'm using this exercise. Then my gastroc is tightening up as tight as it can get. That's what you're going to be really utilizing for this exercise. And let's not forget to hit our cardio. We got 10 minutes after the workout. You can do either the Stairmaster, or you can get on the AMT, or you can get on the treadmill. You can go and you can do kickboxing. You can mess with the battle rope. You could go and play a sport. You can go to the park and run. There are plenty of options for cardio. All you have to do is pick one and stick with it. It doesn't have to be the same one every time, so it doesn't get monotonous or irritating or anything like that. So make sure that you're getting in your cardio at the end of each workout, because that's what's really going to help you push the calories you're burning over the limit every single day. Hope you have a good workout. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, now we're going to get into the intermediate portion of the workout. So for our intermediate people, we're going to be starting out with the barbell squat. It's definitely a move that you should have learned by now, but we're still going to go over how to do it just in case you're doing the intermediate program and you probably shouldn't be. That's okay. We're still going to teach you how, just in case that's the case. Hopefully though, you've gone through goblet squats and bodyweight squats and all that stuff on your progression toward this. And if you can't lift 135 pounds, don't start with 135 pounds. I'm not going to do max weight on this today. I'm just going to do what I can to show you how to do the movement and make sure that you're doing it right with the correct form with a barbell on your back. So you're going to want to set the pegs to the height of underneath your shoulders. If you walk up to it, you want to be able to bring your collarbone but right up to the bar. That's a pretty good height for the bar to be on the rack so that you can clear the pins when you bring it off the rack. When you get underneath the bar, you're going to be searching for a shelf on your shoulder. You can either high bar or low bar. I recommend high bar for beginners of the barbell squat. And then later on you can test your low bar and then you can decide between the two. For today we're going to be talking about mainly the high bar squat. So there's going to be a shelf just under your traps on your back that you can set this barbell in to reduce the amount of pain and issues you're going to have with barbell on your back, okay? And you should be able to feel it by running your back across the bar just so slightly. And from there you're going to get underneath the bar. You're going to set the bar in that shelf just under your traps. You're going to keep your hands just outside of your shoulders on the bar, and then you're going to press up through your glutes. You're going to lift the bar out of the rack. You're going to step back a step. Make sure that your feet are hip to shoulder width apart. Make sure that the bar is stable on your back. Keep your shoulder blades back and your chest high. Keep your chin up, and you're going to set down into your squat by pushing your butt back like you're reaching for a chair that's like 8 to 10 inches behind you, and keeping your knees directly behind your feet. And from there you're going to press up out of the squat and get back to the top of the rep. Making sure that you descend with control. You don't want to just drop into the squat. You want to descend with control, and then you want to push through your heels to the top of the rep. Making sure that you squeeze your quads and your glutes and lock out at the top. You don't have to like bring your hips all the way forward. Don't do that. You want to just come to an upright position, and you don't want to lock out any of your joints. You just want to stand to the top and make sure that your knees, hips, and shoulders are all stacked on top of each other. Again, you'll push your butt back as you go to set down into the squat, all the way down, making sure that your butt comes below your knees, and then press back out of the squat, trying to keep your back as straight as possible and your shoulders as upright as possible throughout the movement. Pegs, make sure that you're in, set it down and step out. It's important that you keep your back straight throughout this movement. It's important that you monitor all your stabilization muscles in your core and in your lower back, and make sure that you're not feeling any extra tension that you shouldn't be feeling anywhere in the movement. It's also important that you go through full range of motion, making sure that you come all the way down with your butt below your knees, and then press back up all the way to the top where your hips and knees and ankles are all stacked. Right. From there, we're going to move on and do the glute bridge. All right, so the barbell glute bridge isn't any guy's favorite exercise. A lot of guys think that it's a little bit too feminine for them to do. A lot of females freaking love this exercise. A good thing to do is to do it on the floor. You can also do it with your back raised up on a bench or something like that, having your upper back set on the bench, and then squeeze your glutes to bring it to the top. For this variation, we're going to be doing it directly on the floor. You're going to lay down with the barbell over your hips. Once you're laid down on the floor, for you guys, you're going to push this down into your hips. So you're not going to let it sit on your hip bones and press through there. You're going to push it down onto the top of your thighs. You're going to pull your shoulder blades back behind you and push your chest forward. Make sure that your knees are directly over your ankles. And then from there, you're going to squeeze your butt and you're going to push the weight all the way to the top and then lower it back down with control. You're going to do this over and over, making sure that when you get to the top, you can hyperextend your hips. If you can't, the weight is probably too heavy. Let me see here. Oh, that's a little better. Good. And then from there, we're going to push up, keeping the bar on top of our hips and squeezing our glutes as hard as we can, and then lower them back down to the bottom. Up and squeeze, and lower it back down. This movement is extremely good for being able to lock out your squat a little better. It's extremely good for help on the deadlift and the lockout at the top of it. And it's extremely good for shaping the glutes for the ladies. Men and women both like nice butts, so definitely something good to add to your workout program, whether you're a man or a woman. And this helps with your larger compound movements like squat, bench, and deadlift. It even helps with the squat because you squeeze through your glutes and your quads as you push the weight up over your chest in the bench press. My bad. The blood was all in my head. I kind of may have minced my words up a little bit between squat, bench, and dead there. But the glute bridge helps out in all the major compound movements. It even helps out in the bench press because you have to squeeze your quads and glutes to push that heavier weight up. All right, moving on. We're going to go back downstairs. The next part's probably going to be a voiceover because the music's playing downstairs, and I don't know YouTube's rules about music in the back on your camera. So I'm going to put my weights back. I'm going to take this downstairs.
For the third exercise today, we're going to be doing the dumbbell Romanian deadlift, making sure that we push our butt back and up like we're trying to touch the corner of the wall and the ceiling with our rear end. We're going to hinge at the hips. We're going to have our knees slightly bent just outside of lock position so that your butt can move back without your knees also moving back and being locked out, which is quite painful. It is the stiff leg deadlift. It's not really a move I do a lot. I would prefer to do the Romanian deadlift, so that's generally what I stick with for hamstrings. This helps lengthen the hamstrings and and strengthen them and work them in the stretch position from a stretch to a contraction at the top. Make sure that your back is parallel with the floor when you're at the bottom of the movement, and make sure that you keep your back straight. I can't stress that enough throughout this entire movement. Make sure that you just let your arms hang during this lift. Your hands are just hooks holding the weight. Basically, the entire movement is being done through your legs and lower back. Making sure that you move with control all the way to the bottom of the movement, and then use your hamstrings and your glutes to bring yourself back to the top of the movement with control, and return and repeat for reps. You have 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps of this exercise, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. For our next movement, we have the leg extension. This is going to put more emphasis on your quads to help really finish them off after the squats. You want to make sure that you set your machine right so that your knee is directly across from your pivot point, and so that the pad is right on top of your feet. You may have to do some adjusting once you get in the machine. You'll have to hop in the machine and test it out to make sure it's right for you. If it's not, you may have to get out and do some adjusting. I'm about to have to get out and adjust this ankle pad because it's sitting on top of my feet and not on my ankles where I want it. It really all depends on your comfort level with where the pad sits on your legs. You just don't want it sitting all the way up on your shins or all the way down on your feet. You want it somewhere in the middle. From there, you're going to sit back in the seat, and you're going to make sure that your tailbone and your shoulder blades are touching the seat. You're going to grab the handles, and you're going to make sure to go through the full range of motion all the way up, squeeze for just a second, and then all the way back down to the bottom, just above where the weights might touch the stack, and then return to the top and repeat for reps. We're going to be doing 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps of this exercise, and then we'll be moving on to the lying leg curl. For our next movement, we're going to use the lying leg curl to put a little bit more emphasis and fatigue in our hamstrings. Make sure that you have the machine set up right. That red dot right there is your pivot point where your knee should be. Once you've got your ankle pad in the right spot and you've got the weight selected, you want to place the top of your kneecap up against the edge of the seat, and then you want to lay down on the machine and then begin to raise your legs towards your butt by curling your legs up and squeezing your hamstrings, making sure to squeeze the muscle for a brief second at the top. Make sure that you get the most action out of the hamstring itself while you're doing this curl. We definitely want to use this movement to fatigue our hamstrings as much as possible to really get the most benefit out of the exercise. Make sure that you perform all 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, and then we'll move on to the adductor machine. Next, we have the adductor machine. This is going to work the muscles of the inner thigh. You want to make sure that your machine is adjusted to the right setting, preferably one where your legs can be as spread as they can be without the weight touching the stack once you've got started with this exercise. Place your knees in behind the pads, place your hands on the handles, and from there you're going to squeeze your legs together, making sure to Hold for just a second once you get to the front of the movement, and then slowly with control return back to the outside of the movement, making sure that the weight stack doesn't touch together when you lower the weight. If you want, you can lean forward for a little bit of added resistance, a little bit to make the movement just a little bit more difficult. Definitely, when I lean forward, it helps me a lot as far as being able to really get a good stretch in the muscle and then really contract the entire way through the movement all the way up to the front part of it to make sure that I'm getting the most out of this exercise. For this exercise, we've got 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. We're going a little bit higher volume on this exercise because I feel like it needs a little bit higher volume to really be effective to the muscle. We're going to do our 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps, and then we're going to move on to the abductor machine. And our next movement is going to be the abductor machine. This is going to work the muscles of the outer thigh and the outer glutes. You'll get in the machine, make sure that it's set properly, and then from there you'll start with spreading your legs apart, squeezing for just a second, making sure that your glutes contract and that your outer thighs contract, and then you're going to slowly with control let your knees come back together and try not to touch the weight stack to each other as you do the movement. Go ahead and make sure that you have control throughout the movement and that you squeeze the rep at the top of the movement to get the most out of it. This movement is also made a little bit harder if you'll lean forward in the seat. For this right here, I'm not leaning forward, but this is just to show you how to do the movement correctly. If you want to lean forward, you most certainly can. Just make sure you maintain a straight back and understand that it's going to be a little bit harder, so you may need to lower the weight just a bit to accomplish it. We're going to finish up with 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps of this exercise, and then we're going to move on to the standing calf raise. Our final weightlifting exercise for today is going to be the standing calf raise. You want to make sure that you have your machine adjusted properly. You can also remember that you can do standing calf raise on any raised surface. You can do it on the stairs while you climb up the stairs. You can hold dumbbells in your hands on either side, or you can do body weight. However is most comfortable for you. For this, I'm using the machine. You want to set the machine so that you can rest the shoulders or your shoulders on the shoulder pads, and then stand up comfortably in the machine with the weight off the stack. You want to make sure that you remember to lower your heels below the platform, stretch the calves as much as you can, and then you're going to flex the calves and raise your heels up as high as you can. Squeeze at the top for just a second, and then lower with control back down to where your heels come below the platform. You're going to repeat this for reps. We're going to do 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps. I believe in a volume approach when it comes to calves. Since we walk all day, we're constantly getting work done to our calves no matter what we do. So definitely having a little extra volume doesn't hurt the calves. They recover quickly, just like the forearms and abs do, so you can get away with quite a bit more volume and training them more frequently than you can other large muscle groups. We got 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps of this exercise, and then we're going to move on to cardio. Don't forget to get your cardio in at the end of your workout. This is just a way to make sure that we burn enough calories during our workouts to make up for the food that we eat during the day. We're just burning off the little last bit of extra calories that we took in for the day. You can do stair stepper, you can do an AMT like this right here, you can run on the treadmill, you could run around the track, you can go to the park and run, you can go use the battle ropes, you can set up a small circuit and do some circuit hit training, you can even try kickboxing. It's all definitely good to get your heart rate up and burn those excess calories at the end of your workout, just to make sure that you've got it all covered. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Peace.